There's a right tool for every job, even when camping. And with so many tools to choose from, how do you know you're going to select the right one for a certain task? When is an axe or a machete the right tool to use? And if you're missing one, what's the next one you should reach for? And do you really need to own one of each of these things, or can you get away with something much simpler? In this video, we're going to talk about all the sharp and pointy things. So knives fall into two basic categories: fixed blade knives and folding knives. Now, the really great thing about a fixed blade knife like this one is that it's great for camp tasks because you can use it with gloves on your hands and you can get it out of the sheath very quickly if you need to. In a lot of ways, they're a lot safer than a knife like this. The reason why is because these can actually fold up on your fingers because they don't have a lock on them. So in a lot of ways, a fixed blade knife is a lot safer to use. Folding knives are nice in contrast because they're a lot smaller and they can have a lot of gadgets in them and tools, which is really handy. Some knives can even handle the stress of splitting wood. That's called batoning. If you're just getting into camping and you want a good fixed blade knife, just get the Morkaneve 511 Craftline Basic. This thing is extremely inexpensive, but it's very good and it holds up well. Or you can get the classic Buck 110. This thing has been around for a long time. It's a great design. It's very safe to use because it has a lock on the back of it. This thing is just a workhorse of a knife. So remember when I said you could actually split wood with a knife? Well, I wouldn't suggest that with either of these two knives. You want to do that with a knife that has a full tang in it. That means that the knife itself extends all the way into the handle, and it doesn't bend or break nearly as easily when you're beating on it with a piece of wood. Or if you want to get something smaller, this is one of my absolute favorite knives. This is the Morkaneve Eldris. This thing is so awesome. Looks ridiculous, it's kind of small, but you know what? It fits your hand really well, and this is all the knife you need for almost everything you do out in the woods. And if you're really into knives, you want to check out this sharpening system from our sponsor, Wicked Edge. This is the WE64 by Wicked Edge. It provides the fastest sharpening experience in the WE60 series line, making touch-ups and sharpening sessions faster. These angle adjustments are very, very quick and easy to set. All you have is one knob right here on the top. You loosen it and you just slide it to the angle that you want and then just tighten it down. And it doesn't take much force to tighten it down, and it stays locked. In under like 3 minutes, I had this thing built and I'm already sharpening a knife. It's so cool. This thing is such an amazing refinement on the design. I absolutely love it. I can tell right away that if I knew the angle setting of all my knives, if I had them written down, I could so quickly run through these and touch them up super fast in the system because I can just, boom, 20 degrees, 18 degrees, 17 degrees. I can just easily set it and go. Well, the WE64 Cobalt by Wicked Edge is absolutely stunning to look at, amazing to use, and very fast. They gave me a discount code if you want to check it out. Have you gotten a Wicked Edge system yet? Let me know in the comments. So what's better than a knife for splitting wood? Axes. Axes come in all different shapes and sizes, and quite frankly, it can be very overwhelming if you're just getting started. If you're just looking to split some firewood on a winter's night when you're camping, then just get something like this. This thing is really great. It's made by Gerber. I know there's a lot of purists out there that want the wooden handled axes, and I love a good wooden handled axe, but this thing is fantastic for the price, for the weight. Also, it's got a pawl on the back, so you can use it as a hammer for hammering in like tent stakes or whatever. Now, it's true that a lot of people get their axes razor sharp. They like to spend lots of time honing them so they can use them to slice through paper. But honestly, in over like 30 years of doing this, I've never needed an axe to be that sharp. I just use a flat file and a round stone, and I can get my axes plenty sharp enough to fell a tree or split firewood or whatever. So it begs the question, what are axes not good for? Well, anything that requires detail or if you're on a weight budget. In that case, what you want is a hatchet. Hatchets are great for rough carving logs into blanks for spoons or other tools. They're great for processing wood for stoves or splitting kindling for a fire. And they're great for delimbing trees, and even some people use them for butchering game. So what are hatchets not good for? Well, probably felling a large tree or trying to split hardwood logs. And hatchets, if they're made well, can be thrown for fun at a target. But there's something much better for throwing: Mr. Tomahawk. So what else can you use a tomahawk for? Tomahawks were originally used for weapons and for hunting, and they're great for delimbing small trees or splitting kindling. So what are tomahawks not good for? Well, unfortunately, that list is quite long. Tomahawks may look cool, but they just aren't as practical or usable as a hatchet is. I'm sorry if that wrecks your dreams. When it comes to processing firewood, saws just cannot be beat. Now a saw like this is pretty useless. I found these things to be very difficult to use and not worth the trouble. Better to have something like this in your kit, which is a folding saw. A little folding saw like this is super lightweight and it's very sharp. It'll last you many trips before it goes dull. You can process enough firewood to cook over or to at least get your stove stocked up pretty good for a light winter. But if you're in a really cold environment, you're gonna want a buck saw or a bow saw. These saws are meant to process a lot of wood in a hurry and they're still lightweight. They can be foldable or fixed, and definitely don't cheap out on a bow saw if you want to keep it for a while. The good ones will last, the cheap ones, they go dull right away. And then there's chainsaws.
That's for a different video.
Machetes are another really useful camp tool. They can be used to clear brush, cut green vines, delimb trees, or even butcher game. My two favorite machetes right now are a Wyland Kukri, which is really inexpensive, or this Fro knife by Buck Knives. This can actually be used to split wood because it's got a really thick spine on it, and it can handle some abuse. In the wintertime, if I'm not gonna take a hatchet, I'm gonna take this with me because I can actually split kindling with it. It's a monster for clearing brush. If I was just starting over and I had none of these tools, I would first get a fixed blade knife like this one. This is gonna teach you a lot about how to safely handle a tool. It's gonna be able to do a lot of the things that you need to do around camp. The second tool I would get is the long-handled axe. Believe it or not, it's safer to use that than a hatchet because you need to learn how to properly swing an axe so that you're not chopping into your feet or your legs. I've seen it, it's horrible. You have to learn axe safety. So definitely I would say get a long-handled axe, learn how to split some wood, delimb trees, etc. If you find yourself going out hiking and camping in shoulder seasons where you need to fuel a wood stove, then maybe you think about getting a hatchet after that. If you just want to have fun and learn how to throw an axe, then get a tomahawk because tomahawks are wildly fun to throw at targets. The third thing I would get is a saw. I would invest in a very good folding saw because that's going to allow you to get into the cold winter months and really cut up enough wood to stay warm. I'm putting links in the description below to a lot of these tools in case you want to check them out. If you click on the affiliate links, it supports the channel. It lets the companies know that you are watching this content and that you find it interesting. Well, I hope you found that useful or at least entertaining. We'll see you later.